Hi, my name is Jay Kermatzi, and I'm the board treasurer for the ALS Association Nevada chapter and the committee chair for this year's Reno Sparks Walk to Defeat ALS. Thank you for joining us, and I would like to welcome you to the 2021 walk. Because of your support and participation in events like the walk, the Nevada chapter is able to continue to serve and support people living with ALS and their families in Northern Nevada. We are truly grateful for your dedication to the walk, our local chapter, and the fight against ALS. Like many of you, I have a personal reason for being a part of this walk. I lost my father to this disease, and like so many other participants, I am committed to finding a cure. Each year, we use a symbol of a key to represent our commitment to unlocking the medical mysteries which will someday lead us to a cure for ALS. The colored lanyards we wear represent our diverse connections to ALS and this walk. Each color signifies the reason why someone is walking today. The yellow means I have ALS. The blue is I walk in honor of someone with ALS. The white is I have lost someone to ALS. Or the red, I support the cause and want to defeat ALS. Whichever color you choose, the message behind Unlock ALS is powerful, uniting all of us through an experience that builds hope and strengthens common bonds as members of the ALS community. These keys and lanyards represent our personal commitments to remember those that we've lost, to offer support and care for those who have the disease, and to do whatever it takes to one day end ALS. In addition to the lanyards, we encourage participants to write messages to loved ones with ALS or about loved ones we've lost to ALS on the paper keys in the same colors. The keys can be added to the car decorations for the people joining us for the car parade today at 11 a.m. at the Reno High School campus. If you aren't coming to the parade, post a picture of your key on social media with the hashtag RenoWalk2021. I'd like to say a few more words of thanks to the many people who make this event possible each and every year. First, I'd like to recognize our walk event sponsors who are partners in the fight against ALS. Our national sponsors are New Motion Foundation, MT Pharma, and Per Mobile. Thank you for your support for all of the people with ALS. And thank you to our local sponsors, Renown, Kindred at Home, Kindred Hospice, MedTech Services, and Infinity Hospice for their commitment to serving Nevadans with ALS. Without volunteers, this walk would never be able to happen. Our walk committee found creative ways to hold this walk during a pandemic and support efforts for the whole chapter. Thank you to all of our committee members for your dedication in making this event a success, because ALS has not stopped and neither will we. The ALS Association Chapter Board of Directors are a committed group of volunteers who donate their time and talents all year long to make sure that this chapter is here for every Nevadan with ALS. Thank you to my fellow board members for their dedication to providing the best possible service and support for people with ALS and their families. And finally, I would like to thank the staff members of the ALS Association Nevada chapter. Each and every one of the chapter staff team dedicate themselves to serve people with ALS in Nevada and their families, day in and day out. The pandemic created challenges to providing help and resources, and our staff found ways to provide care and support necessary to every person with ALS who needed our services. Now let's hear from a current walker about why they are walking to defeat ALS.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Tomlin Kerr, and I am the Special Events Manager for ALS Association Nevada chapter. Thank you so much for joining us today for the 2021 Reno Sparks Walk to Defeat ALS virtual portion of Walk Day. I'm here talking to one of our new sponsors, Dragon Law Group. Joe, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on.
Would you like to introduce yourself and share your connection to ALS?
Yeah, so my name is Joe Dragon. I'm the owner at Dragon Law Group, a legal firm here in Las Vegas and serving all the state of Nevada. So my connection with ALS, about 2 years ago, almost to the day. My mother was actually diagnosed with ALS a week before my wedding, and that was a drastic change, obviously, for our family. My mom, who took very good care of herself, never smoked, drank occasionally, and worked out all the time, now had this crippling disease. So through the couple of years that followed, become very familiar with, her fight against ALS and all the struggles that go along with that.
Well, we appreciate and thank you for sharing your story with us today. Can you tell us why it was important for you to become a sponsor?
Yes, absolutely. So before my mother's diagnosis, I had never had anybody close to me diagnosed with any sort of terminal disease, other than my grandparents who died when I was young. And during my youth and college years and law school years, you saw a lot of different types of disease sponsorships, fundraising events. And I understood that these purposes of these events were to make fundraising for research, but I didn't realize how impactful those types of organizations are until I went through the experience with my mom with ALS. For example, so she was diagnosed in May 2019. We all went with her to Stanford, that's where she was referred to, the following June. And at that time, there was, it's been that way for years, only one drug, Radicava, that was approved by the FDA to treat ALS. And it only promised 2 to 4 months of extra life expectancy by using this drug. There were no clinical trials going on, at least in Stanford and other its affiliated universities. And in the 2 years that followed, you've seen an explosion of clinical trials by different universities, by Stanford itself. And really all of this, in my mind, is really made possible by these types of sponsorships and organizations. Awareness is not just awareness that there's a bad disease out there, but people only get so much of the pie. And so you really need to make people aware of devastating diseases like ALS. And the impact is real, and treatments are coming out, it seems like every month, as far as new clinical trials and new drugs that come on the market. And I know that's all possible by these types of organizations. So I think it's very important for my firm to sponsor this, as well as individuals and other companies throughout the country.
No, having the support of the local businesses is really important to our local chapter, because we do handle the whole state of Nevada. What would you say to businesses who are thinking about getting involved with the ALS Association Nevada chapter?
I think it's absolutely critical. And I'll make another point here. Beyond just research and getting treatments and new drugs in the market, ALS is a slow, crippling process. You go in, if you unfortunately get diagnosed, there's really nothing without these types of organizations and Nevada ALS that support the families that go through this. It's devastating. My family's fortunate enough that they were pretty well off, so they could afford to hire, in-home care as my mom's disease progressed. Others aren't so lucky. So usually one has to sacrifice a career, put that on hold. A lot of times a child has to or 2 children have to put their lives on hold to care for their parents, because there really isn't any alternative other than a in-home nursing center, which people don't want to go to. And to keep that quality of life, there's a lot of things that need to go into place. For instance, I'm an attorney, and so my specialty, I realized that can really help beyond just making donations and going to fundraising events, is really helping through some legal issues that my mom faced, and others I'm sure are facing as well, as far as insurance companies denying coverage not because they should, but they're confused on what needs to be approved or not. Medicaid, You'd be surprised how sometimes an attorney can review things and talk to an adjuster or talk to a representative and get them on the right track of how these things need to be done, which is just offering your services. And if you're an accountant, if you're obviously in the medical professional, those types of things are extremely helpful. If you can donate any of your time, is extremely helpful to somebody who doesn't have any knowledge in those areas or knows how to handle it, especially when they're starting to lose their ability to move like they once did. So not only getting involved, but you can have a huge impact in your life just by donating some of your time and knowledge.
Right. Perfect. Well said. What is your hope that you see for people living with ALS in the future?
Well, you know, again, 2 years ago, if you got diagnosed, I mean, there's no time at all. If you got diagnosed with this, there really was nothing as far as hope, as far as being able to beat the disease. I mean, other than hoping that something would come down. That's not the case. I know if we continue this trajectory, if I follow my own, research and all this, that my hope would be in 10 years that I don't know if they can eradicate it, but get to a level where treatment will allow you to live into old age and allow you to live without being completely paralyzed. That is my hope. I think it's a realistic goal. I think it will be accomplished. And I think we just got to keep the foot on the throttle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Joe, I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate you sharing your story, taking the time out of your busy day to speak with us, and we value the partnership. So thank you so much.
Of course, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done. How much you've helped my family and others in Nevada can't be understated.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.